Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Sincerely Verolina channel. Hey, I am Sverolina. The S stands for several things, but you may call me Sincerely, you may call me Sovereign, you may call me S. That is totally fine too. So, you are now listening to the Things I Never Said Poetry series. On this channel, I discuss personal development, relationship dynamics, and then this particular series, my testimony as a foster child turned emancipated minor. I know I said like minor like that, but forgive me. My voice is like so strained right now. As I mentioned in the part before this, I've been going through a lot of things. And one of the obstacles I've been dealing with is the strain in my throat. So if I sound more raspy than usual, that is the reason, okay? But yes, so if any of the topics that I mentioned interest or relate to you, then feel free to take a virtual seat in the comment section and engage with the video. So during this podcast style episode, I am going to discuss a poem that I wrote titled Satisfy Yourself. This poem is in my collection titled Things I Never Said. If you would like to read along with me or to add the collection to your bookshelf, then click in the description or click the link in the description below. Excuse me. Bueno, vamos a comenzar. Let's get started because, I can be a little bit long-winded, like as we all should know by now. Okay. So, the poem that I'm going to read today, excuse me. Okay, so the poem that I'm going to read today is on page 19. That is 19, okay? 19, okay? So go ahead and turn to page 19 if you're going to read along conmigo. You can also read along if you have a Kindle. You can download the Kindle version. I don't think that's on page 19 though. You'll just have to scroll and figure that one out. Forgive me, but yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. All right, I hope I gave you enough time to turn to the page. I'm going to read the poem and then I have some guided questions and a few topics that I wanted to address that are related to this poem, and then that will wrap up this poem overview. Okay? All righty. This poem is called Satisfy Yourself. Foster sister, I notice that every time you're instructed to babysit us younger kids, you invite a boy to accompany you. It's never the same person, but they all slip their hands down your pants the minute you stop giving us attention. They have the kind of thirst that beverages cannot quench, because the boys you entertain don't drink, they devour. They eat and eat and eat, and once they've cleaned off your plate, they search for someone who will cook them something better. The boys that you entertain are never satisfied with you, because you're never satisfied with yourself. I watch you search their eyes for a sign that says they'll be coming back, but you're always the one who comes up empty-handed. Sister, the value you're hoping they'll see in you must first be seen by yourself. The love you're hoping they'll give you is a love you must first give yourself. Whatever it is you're searching for in someone else, find it in yourself. Satisfy yourself. Thank you. Thank you guys. Like, oh my God, y'all. Okay. Thank you for listening to my reading of the poem Satisfy Yourself. So I have a few things with this one because I wrote this poem from the perspective of a child. If you are listening to one of these videos in the series for the first time, just to give you a quick synopsis, I was originally a foster child, and then I later on became an emancipated minor. I was a foster child for about 8 years, just about. And then I was reunited with my birth parents for almost 8 years as well. And then I went on to live with a temporary guardian for 1 year. And then I went on to become an emancipated minor. So yes, this poem is written from when I was probably like in kindergarten and first grade. And I would be left with the other children in the house, both the foster girls and the biological grandchildren of my foster mother. And one of those one of the biological grandchildren that I was left with is the foster sister that I am addressing in this poem. Now, I did want to say this, even though this poem is addressed to my foster sister, and I'm writing it to her as a little child, this poem applies to so many people that I have come across or that I have known to have like the same issue of looking for social validation or looking for just a sense of self-worth in other individuals. So I actually wasn't going to title it foster, or I wasn't going to start it off with foster sister. I was going to just say sister. However, if you have read my poetry collection, then you will know there are some poems that are written in this exact same like letter format, and they start off with the word sister because I am talking specifically about or to my biological sister. For the sake of having just at least one poem that captured the kind of dynamic I had with this particular person, I decided to just title it Foster Sister. I just wanted to make that distinction because I really did go back and forth in my mind, like, should I just address this to my, like, just to sister in general so that it's more applicable to all different types of girls, or friends and sisters or mothers or aunts and cousins and grandmothers who this applies to. But no, I realized that, like, just to stay within the theme of addressing the people in my foster home and addressing these experiences in chronological order, it made more sense to keep it just specific to her. However, with that being said, this is not meant to be an attack at all or an offensive poem. I understand that now, like, okay, let me backtrack. Now that I have had a few things happen, which I'll mention later on, I understand how, like, no one would really want to read something like this about themselves. However, this is written from the perspective of a child. And as a child, I saw my foster sister with these boys. I don't know if they were the same person. I said in the poem that they are never the same person. I'm honestly considering like changing the word never. I understand that I kind of like deal with absolutes a lot. Like, I say things like always and never like a lot. And I used to do that way more when I was in high school until this dude actually pointed it out to me. May he rest in peace. But yeah, so I said it's never the same person because I don't remember it being the same person. I specifically remember the few times that we were left with my foster sister to babysit us. There was this guy that I remember him in particular because it was like he spent like the whole afternoon with us or something. I remember she took us to the park, and while we were playing at the park, this dude, I don't know if I should give him like a pen name or something. No, I don't want to do that. I'll just like leave it as this dude. So this dude was he would like tag along, and I remember him showing up at the foster home. I remember him showing up at the park, and there was one time in particular where she was like sitting on his lap. They were on the swings, which are for children, and he was sitting on the swings, and she was sitting, or he was sitting on a swing, and she was sitting on his lap. And I remember like seeing them do like sensual things, and I thought it was inappropriate. I was like a little bit weirded out by it, especially because I did not know who he was. Like, I don't remember her ever introducing him to us. Another thing I remember is that he only came around when my foster mother and my foster mother's daughter wasn't there. My foster mother's daughter was like a woman in her 30s, and she had the four kids that are my foster mother's grandchildren. So when my foster sister's mom wasn't around and her grandmother wasn't around, that's when this person would appear. So I thought he was like no good. I thought he was like bad news because it was clear he was like a little secret or something. Anywho, I just remember times where he was at the house, like I said. I remember her sitting on his lap at the park, and at the house as well. I remember one time where they like disappeared to, I believe it was her room. And I think the only reason I remember this is because I went after her at some point to go ask her something. And I remember the other kids telling me to like stay away, like to come back downstairs or to like move away. Like I remember us, you know what, I'll say this. I was probably not the person who was going up to her room. I was probably the one following behind the other kids who were like trying to catch her in an act, or like, just being like nosy children, because even though we were young and inexperienced children, um, we still knew that like something inappropriate and sexual was happening in the house with her and this dude, or whoever these dudes were. Like I said, I was a kid, but I'm not trying to make it sound like she was a whore. I don't think that she was a whore. I think she was like a typical teenage girl who was looking for attention in the wrong places. And that happens to a lot of young girls who, if you don't have anything to work towards, like if you don't have a goal, if you don't have ambition, if you are not self-directed, you will get lost in the sauce of like looking for a guy to make you feel like you're complete. I know, because even though I'm naturally goal oriented, I understood that amongst girls, how beautiful you are is determined by the amount of attention you receive from boys. So an off or a common diss or insult that girls will throw at you as a child is that you're ugly because the boys don't like you, or like um, you're a weirdo, or like you're undesirable if you don't have a boyfriend yet, or if you've not kissed anyone already. And so there's a lot of pressure that young girls feel to like hurry up and say that they kissed somebody or they have a boyfriend. And then when you do get that boyfriend, you feel more pressure to do sexual things with him, even though you're young. And children should not be having sex, because children should not be taken care of or procreating with other children. Children should not be giving birth to other children. Children should not be taking care of other children. You literally have your whole adult life to become a parent, and children should not be partaking in activities that are going to result in them becoming a parent. Those are my opinions. And I also see how it starts very early on with idle minds, with children with idle minds and not enough to work towards. So they get distracted. And I think for us girls, we cannot afford to get distracted. We cannot afford to end up stuck with a child, stuck with an unwanted pregnancy, and then having to lie to ourselves and say, oh, my child was the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah, maybe it was, but like, are the circumstances the best for the child? Usually they're not for teen moms. Usually they're not for girls who are just 20 and 21, 22, because we're still figuring it out. Like we are literally still raising ourselves. And something that somebody told me, like I would say like back in early 2019, she said to me, your trauma doesn't really start to show up until you enter your 20s. And I didn't understand what she meant by that. Probably because I wasn't there yet, like I didn't get it. I didn't know what she was talking about. But now I understand. Now I understand that like as you separate from the environments that traumatized you and the environments that were dysfunctional and toxic, you start to heal. If you take the necessary steps, if you work on yourself, if you start pouring love into yourself, and you stop the negative and self-sabotaging behaviors, or the detrimental behaviors that keep you stagnant, then you realize like all the undoing that is necessary in order for you to really strive or thrive in this life. But if you are, unfortunately, if you have a child too early, that process gets stunted. And I think that's why a lot of people end up, or a lot of girls and women end up chasing their youth when they're in their 40s and their late 30s, because their life got put on hold for like 20 years. And these are things that can be avoided if parents and honestly women are more honest about how difficult it really is to be a teen mom and to have a baby so young in this time and culture of living a lie and living and showing a filtered life on social media, people glamorize everything. People literally glamorize depression as if that is a glorious, glamorous thing, you know? And it's like, this is why young girls who are watching your behavior think that, oh, there's nothing wrong with me being a teen mom. Yes, there is. I will be the one to say, yes, there is something wrong with that. If you became a teen mom and you figured it out, I'm glad for you. I really am. But is that really what you want your daughter to go through? Especialmente, okay? If the father is a bum and the father or the father is a predator, an older, creepy, nasty man who's no good. You don't want those genes to be passed on to your, maybe I'll speak for myself. I don't want those nasty genes and predatory genes in my bloodline. I don't want those bum genes in my bloodline. I don't want that in my bloodline. Our ancestors go through way too much. Our ancestors have gone through way too much. We go through way too much in our time for us not to learn and then do better so that the next generation of our bloodlines, don't have to go through the same thing. Like, it's like, enough. When is enough enough? When are people done like just making bad decisions and then lying to themselves about it as if that's going to change the dysfunction that your kids are brought up in? Then we wonder why we see so many girls like throwing their kids in the dumpster these days. And that stuff is on the news. It seems like every few months there's a case of a girl who's flushed her baby down the toilet or attempted to. And it's like, these girls are living a fast life. They're doing things that we have seen the older generations, the millennials and our parents do. And so we think, hey, it couldn't be that bad, because if it was so bad, they wouldn't have done it in the first place. But that's actually just not how life is. People do a lot of things that don't make sense because people test their luck. We like to play with fire a little bit, because when we get away with it the first few times and we're able to recover from the little mild burns, we think, oh, okay, I guess I could do this again. But no. This is why you have to be honest with your kids as an adult, and honest with your younger siblings, and honest with yourself about the challenges that you're facing, instead of all this filtered, phony crap that you see on social media, and filter phony crap that we tell ourselves and tell one another. Tell the truth. And the truth is that a child, the truth is that what you know at the age of 16 is so minuscule in contrast to what you know at the age of 36. So the things you can teach a child at 36, you don't even know at the age of 16. It doesn't matter how mature that nasty, decrepit, predatory man tells you you are. It doesn't matter how mature your mentors and your teachers and your parents tell you you are. If you are mature at the age of 16, guess what? You're going to be even more wise and mature at the age of 35. At the age of 32, at the age of 29. What is the rush? Like, really? And that's another thing that I think people should think about when they say stuff like that. I remember I worked with this girl who I guess based on what she said, it's safe to say she fetishized mixed race people and Black people. This was a non-Black American person. This was a white Hispanic girl. And she said that by the age of 20, I think it was by the age of 26, she wanted to be married and have 3 mixed race babies. She went on to say, oh, my babies are going to be so cute. They're going to be so pretty. Like, that's what she wanted. Pretty mixed race babies. This is a teenage girl talking crazy. And this is why when people say that they're pregnant, I don't ever say congratulations. I don't say congratulations, because we will find out in 20 years if it really was a congratulations. When we look at your kid, when we see the product of the environment your kid is growing up in, when we see that, then we find out, was it really a congratulations? I take this stuff seriously as a child who was born into a very toxic and dysfunctional circumstance, so much so that at only 4 months young, I had to be taken away from my parents, put in a foster care where I was traumatized, violated, abused, and starved, and etc., and then taken from that home and then put back with my biological parents where I experienced those same things. And this is the state intervening. This is the government intervening and placing me here and placing me there in these situations that were not safe for me. And I had to take my life into my own hands as a child and leave my house at the age of 15 because I recognized that my parents were not able to do enough for me, like cover the bare minimum, just because they had too many kids, too many responsibilities, and couldn't meet them or live up to them. But it's like the question I had as a child and the question that I have for people who keep bringing children into nonsense is why? Like, what is the reason for it? Why do you keep having children? If you know times are hard, you know that you're struggling financially as a woman. I don't understand why women, especially in today's time, this is not, the time of women's suffrage. No, this is not the time of, a woman can have her own car. No. At a time like this where women are running circles around these men, like overtime, doing everything they dreamt of and more, I don't understand why grown women continue to have children that they can't afford on their own. To me, that doesn't make sense, because you're already putting yourself in a situation where now you need this man, and you're going to take a lot of crap from him, and you're going to be stagnant because of how codependent you are on him. Now you and your child are stuck in this dysfunctional, stagnant position. Like, I just don't understand. Like, why are people not making better decisions, even though we are supposedly advancing? Like, I don't get that part. And I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to connect it. Just stay with me, okay? Stay with me now. But I just think that, like I said, it starts when we're young. It starts when we see the older brother, older sister, and our parents behaving in irresponsible ways. And I don't know, like, connecting it back to my poem now, I don't know who my foster sister saw sitting on a boy's lap. Maybe, she's from the MTV generation, the millennials, where she's from the 16 and pregnant generation, literally, where all these reality TV shows were being pumped out on television. Like, the millennials grew up with that stuff. That's why so many of them had children so young. They grew up with that kind of stuff. So maybe that's where she got these images from. She was the oldest girl in the household that I grew up in the foster home, I mean. So, like, I don't know whose behavior she was mimicking. But what I know is that she was being very sexual and very, intimate right in front of us. And I thought there was something really problematic about it. And I will say this is how powerful your behavior is, especially when you're just a little bit older and you have kids watching you all the time. The same way I saw my foster sister sitting on this boy's lap at the swing. Oh my God, I'm telling on myself. You know what? I just remember I have a poem that's coming up. It's called First Grade. And I literally tell myself in this poem. I tell this story in that poem. I'm going to tell it again when we do the breakdown on that poem. But yeah, I would just tell it right now because it fits the topic. The same way that I saw my foster sister sitting on that boy's lap is the same way that I once told a boy when I was like in first grade that I wanted I wrote him a letter. And I asked the kids in the class to pass it around to him, and not to read it, to just give it to him. And the letter, oh my gosh. Ay, Dios mío. Like, the letter literally was me telling him that I think he's cute and that during recess, I want to sit on his lap on the swings. Now, where, oh, 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 where the hell do you think I got that idea from? Ding, 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 ding. Watching my foster sister engage in this very same behavior right in front of me. Open her legs, sitting on top of this boy's lap. We don't even know who he is. He's not introduced himself to the family. So we don't know if it's him, if it's going to be Timothy today and then Tyrone tomorrow. And then, never mind, I'm not going to do that. But, it's like, come on now. This is how powerful your behavior is. This is why if you are not willing to be a role model, I don't think you need to be a parent, because children are going to do what they see you do. We as children don't care about what you say. We care about what you do, and we do what you do. Because in our childlike brains, we think, well, if it was a bad thing, or if the action is so bad, then our trusted, beloved adults wouldn't do it in the first place, right? We really think like that as little kids until we grow up and have this thing called discernment. So I saw my foster sister getting hot and heavy with this boy or these boys. Like I said, I don't remember them being the same person, but I'm not at all saying that she was a whore or maybe promiscuous is the right word, but I don't want to put that out there. So I may go back and change this poem because, yeah. But yes, I decided to throw this in there because I don't remember very much about my foster sister, but I do remember those moments. I remember like going up to her room. She had the lights down low. She was in the room with the boy. We don't know what she was doing. Thank God I didn't see her doing anything. But I knew enough that I knew enough to know that like whatever she was doing, she didn't want us to know. She didn't want us to find out. And I thought there was something very wrong about that. And I just said how that very behavior of her being like really intimate with the boy influenced me. Another thing I would challenge older siblings and older people to do when they have children around them is just model the behavior you would want them to follow. If you don't want your kid, especially your daughters, going to school and trying to kiss boys and stuff, like give them quote unquote special hugs, maybe you shouldn't be doing those sexual gestures in front of your kids. There's a difference between showing romance and intimacy and then being outright sexual, overtly hypersexual around these young people. Stop it, please. It's really tacky, and it's the reason why these girls, in my opinion, it's the reason why so many girls lead with that. Like girls don't even, it seems like does anybody care to be smart anymore, or is just the goal to just be like, you know, the quintessential TikTok girl with the weird filter that these people keep using, like with it's like the same face, the Instagram face, I think that's what it's called. Everyone has like the Instagram face, all these the influencers, the celebrities, like they go get the same face. And so that's what these girls want to do. That's why these, middle school age girls want to be in Sephora looking and they want to, not only do they want to be in Sephora, not only do they want to try on makeup that's way too much for them and unnecessary at their age, but then they have these extensive skincare routines that make no sense because your skin is already so beautiful. Like you don't really need to try. When you're young, you're effortlessly beautiful. That's the cool thing. That's why older people want to be young. When you're young, you're effortlessly beautiful. You just have to drink enough water. You have a good enough balanced diet of fruits and vegetables and grains and protein and whatever. But like, it's just so weird. But again, you only have the older people to blame because these kids are not learning it from nowhere. We are literally mimicking the people who came before us and made it seem like these behaviors are okay. And the reason I think I felt the need to put this poem in here is not just because this is all I remember about her, but it's also because I find this behavior to be very problematic. I also think it sets the stage for the poem that's coming up called First Grade. And if you are attentive, if you like connect the dots as you're reading, then you may realize that like watching my sister be this way in front of these boys could have been what influenced me to think at freaking 6 years young that it was okay for me to say something like that to a boy. Fortunately though, actually I'm not going to tell the rest of that story. You'll have to just listen to the part called First Grade or read the poem yourself. But I think that The rest of the poem is like pretty self-explanatory. Like I wrote it as a letter. Like I said in one of the other parts, pay attention to the format. I was pretty intentional about it. There are some poems that are written as letters because the poem is called, I mean, the poetry collection is called Things I Never Said. So essentially, I'm sharing what I remember and I'm sharing what I observed, but I also wanted to share the things that I obviously could not say at the time or didn't know how to articulate at the time because I just wasn't wise enough or, well versed in the English language. Tu sabe o tu sab. But there are a lot of good one-liners in this poem that I hope all the readers and listeners take away, like whether you're a girl, whether you're an adolescent, or whether you're like an adult. There are a lot of good takeaways, especially at the end when I say the value you're hoping they'll see in you must first be seen by yourself. I learned that in high school. I learned that from like listening to older women like on talk shows or like reading articles, reading forums. Like I would just go to the internet to type in questions like why do boys do this and like why do guys do that? And I read even stories like an article. I remember this article I read where women were explaining like their biggest regrets, like as married women, like things they regret doing. And I like to learn from life. I like to learn from other people. And one of the things that I did with that information is turn it into the poetry that you will come across in this collection. Not literally, though. I just took the wisdom from my life experiences and what I witnessed other people go through and tried to apply it to these things so that in addition to learning my story, you also learn a few inspirational quotes and you learn just some things that you can apply to yourself. If it applies, then that's great. If it doesn't, that's fine. Let it fly, as they say. But yes, I would say that, as it says in the poem, the point of the poem is the love that you're hoping they'll give you is the love you must first give yourself. Whatever you're searching for in someone else, find it in yourself. I cannot stress that enough. Learn to be, and this is another good quote. I may have put this in another poem, but learn to be who you needed when you were a kid. That will help you fill up so many of the holes and the gaps in yourself that you feel or imagine are there. Learn to be the friend that you're looking for. Be that friend to yourself. One thing I had to learn is like, treat yourself the same way you would treat your friends, if not better, okay? Like this is just an example. Let's say like you're cooking, right? Let's say, I want to make this like relatable to like teenagers también. So let's say, okay, let's say, por ejemplo, you're heating up something in the microwave, right? I don't have a microwave, but let's just roll with it. So let's say like you're heating up something in a microwave, and let's say like when you go to take it out with your oven mitts on because it's so hot, like let's say something falls out, something drops, like I don't know, one of the chicken tenders or whatever. If you would not pick up that chicken tender off the floor and put it back on the plate and then serve it to your friend because you wouldn't want her to be mad or feel slighted, do not pick up that chicken tender and then feed it to yourself when that happens when you're alone. That's an example of like treating other people better than you would treat yourself. Now I understand times are very difficult because after the pandemic happened, we're in another, I guess, type of crisis globally and definitely in the United States. Okay, America is poor right now, poor. But yeah, I understand like times are hard for everybody. Whether you're employed or unemployed, like everybody's broke because the migrants have all the money and all the money is going to the wars around the world that the government insists on instigating or being a part of. So yeah, there's that. So, times are hard, right? I understand you may very well want to pick up that chicken tender and just go ahead and eat it and, let the 5-second rule do its thing. However, that's an example of like treating yourself in a way that you wouldn't treat other people. And I would say break that habit. Go the extra mile for yourself the way you would for someone else. Because there's no way you should be treating other people better than you treat yourself. How many other people will do that for you? You know? And even if they will, they shouldn't. Like, treat yourself well. Treat yourself like you really like yourself. Treat yourself like you are your best friend. And then it will make you a better friend to your best friends. Not only that, but like when you have good energy that you are pouring into yourself, you will then emit really good energy. And then you will attract really good energy. You will be attractive regardless of what you look like, regardless of how closely you meet the quote unquote beauty standard wherever you are in this world. Regardless, because anybody can be pretty, but everybody is not beautiful. Anyone can be pretty. Okay, in this age of technology, in this age of surgery, okay, like in the age of the BBL, okay, everybody can be what society deems pretty right now, right? There was a time where being blonde and having blue eyes was like everything. Remember when Leonardo DiCaprio and Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber and Reese Witherspoon and all the blondes were at the top of the world? And then what did Kim Kardashian tell Nick Cannon that she was going to do? Change the face of beauty in the United States so that Americans would have a deeper appreciate or a larger appreciation for white people with darker features, because she's got dark eyes and she's got dark hair. That's what she told Nick Cannon she was going to do per his interview that he did. And I mean, although all she did was appropriate the black woman's phenotype over and over again, and all of them have done that, she still did it. They like, hello, she has been a huge effective part of the shift we've seen in the United States. Now women who look like Kim Kardashian or Kim Kardashian doesn't even look like Kim Kardashian, so I shouldn't say that. Women who have dark hair and dark eyes, like Kim Kardashian, are now the new, beauty standard for whiteness, if you will. Obviously, when you're brown, that doesn't even apply to us, so we shouldn't even entertain that stuff. But yeah, my point is that anyone can be pretty, because pretty is fickle. Pretty was once something different, now is something new, and even that is changing. Now looking racially ambiguous is the thing. That's why even the girls with the dark hair and the dark eyes but the pale skin still want to go tan and burn and look a little bit darker and quote unquote look quote unquote exotic, like the brown skin girls that they're mimicking. It's because pretty is constantly changing. That's why you shouldn't run after it. You have to find what makes you pretty, just like you have to find what makes you worthy, and define what makes you. Don't go looking for other people like, am I pretty? Am I pretty? Do you think I'm pretty? No. No, 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 no. You have to define and recognize your great attributes. That's what will help you build some self-esteem. And your focus shouldn't just be on your exterior, okay? Because you're not going to look the same forever. And you are worth way more than what you look like anyway. And truth be told, anything can happen to you tomorrow. God forbid, but something horrific could happen to you, like a tragedy that changes the way your face looks. And so if your sense of self-worth is skin deep, or it's all about what you look like, and then what you look like is messed up or destroyed by some tragedy or whatever, then what do you have? Don't put your self-value in things and like exterior things, because that's not what makes you beautiful. That's why so many quote unquote pretty girls become so ugly when they open their mouths and you realize they're stupid, when you realize they don't know anything. Intelligence is beautiful. Self-respect is beautiful. Kindness is beautiful. Work on your character and it will make you beautiful, regardless of what you look like. And naturally, as you put more effort and energy into yourself, good energy that is, then you will see you actually are beautiful. You know, you really are. Learn to satisfy yourself. Like I said in my poem, whatever it is you're searching for in someone else, find it in yourself. Now, before I end this, I did want to clarify something. In the beginning of this like poem overview, I said that I would mention something at the end. That something is that not too long ago, like several years ago, I, through the help of someone else, I was able to get in contact with some members of my foster family, and one of those members was actually the foster sister in question, the foster sister that I reference in this poem. And it's weird because at first, like when we talked on the phone, she was so excited to talk to me. Like I didn't recognize her voice at all, but she was like, "Oh my God, like I remember you. Like, oh my God, how are you doing?" And all this kind of stuff. And then I think maybe she saw my poetry collection or something like that. I'm not really sure. But all I know is that she blocked my phone number, and I just like never heard back from her. I remember I sent her a message asking if I could have, if any of them, if somebody could just send me my baby pictures, because to this day I don't know what I look like as a kid. I have no pictures from the first like 8 years of my life or even beyond that, but just from my time in foster care, I don't have any of that. And I will say this to you if you're listening to me todavía. If you're still here, hey, how you doing? Oh my God. But no, really, if you're still here, thank you. But also, that's so grammatically incorrect. Do not say but also. That's not correct at all. But anyhow, um, if you are somebody who has like pictures of yourself as a baby, if you have like your footprint, your thumbprint, your handprint, like be very grateful for that. You don't know how lucky you are. You don't know. I promise you, you do not know how lucky you are. You are so lucky to have that frame of reference. Even if I have a kid someday, I won't even know how much my kid looks like me because I don't know what I looked like as a kid. And as a foster child, the most important things for me to take were the memories, the things that reminded me of my time there, so that as time passes, it doesn't seem like that was all in my head, because it wasn't. But I don't have anything from that time. So it's all I have are my memories, you know? But anyhow, I messaged her asking for that. That was actually what led to me reaching out to them in the first place, is because one, I wanted to just see if there was anyone I could talk to, since I had questions about how I ended up there. And then, yeah, for the longest time, I've just wanted that. I've just wanted like a piece of myself, like in picture form, I guess. And yeah, I was told that my foster mother was dead. Someone lied to me about that. And then I was able to actually speak to her, and she was like, "Well, I'm obviously not dead." And I was very glad to hear that. And we talked like 2 times. And then after the second time, I don't know. I don't know what happened, honestly. I think maybe they read my poetry collection and just didn't like that I remembered as much as I did and that I mentioned it. But if any of them are listening, I will say I didn't tell the truth to offend anyone else. I told the truth to liberate myself. I told the truth because, like, as I said, all I have are my memories. You all chose to keep everything else from me. I don't have anything else but what I remember. I don't have my pictures. I don't have anything. So excuse me if writing about a very traumatic experience is the best thing I could do as a way to heal from it, you know, as a way to process what I experienced therapeutically, or in a therapeutic fashion, I should say. And to inform and inspire other people, because I know I'm not alone in this, but I've never met anybody else who has gone through what I've gone through. So it has been a very difficult journey, to say the least. And to my foster sister, like I said, I did not have the intention of offending her. As a child, I just remember her and these boys and thinking that these boys or that boy was bad news. So I just wanted to put that there and capture the main thing I remembered about her. Just like in my poem called Hoop Lessons, that's like the only poem that's addressed to that foster brother, because that's the only thing I remembered about him. These people were much older than me. So they weren't really around that much, and I don't have many like memories of them. With this foster sister, I remember my foster mother, her grandmother, said that she had a bad attitude. Like, I remember there was a time where I think my foster mother even told them like that they were gonna have to leave. She told her daughter like they were gonna have to find somewhere else to live, because that girl in particular was like, she was just going through, the teenage years where they become really defiant and stuff like that. But yes, I just wanted to give that little explanation, because I wanted to clarify like the purpose of this poem was not to offend, but really to just inform that like this is a problematic behavior for girls at a young age in particular, to be looking for validation and offering themselves sexually to boys, when you're at a time in your life where you need to be skill building. You need to be like preparing for your young adulthood, not sabotaging it before it even gets started. Okay. But that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So yes, I will not know. I will say, thank you so much for listening. Tata mi amores. Take care. Mwah. Marsha's bag sitting in the corner cause I don't mind. Looking at it every day, there's other things on my mind. Got too many bills, can't afford to go buy some time. Catch me at the supermarket, Coinstar, trading in all my dimes. Pray to the gods to help me believe. Pray to the God, got down on my knee. Then found myself like Buddha up under the tree. I need some peace of mind cause I can't keep losing my sleep. Marshall's bag sitting in the corner cause I'm aware. Gotta give in to what gives to us a lesson's there. Got too many thrills, ain't no way I'm gonna make it here. Catch me at the supermarket, Coinstar, gathering, train fare. Pray to the gods to help me believe. Pray to the God, got down on my knee. Then found myself like Buddha up under the tree. I need some peace of mind cause I can't keep losing my sleep. Word.